All right, y'all. Silent Hill F. IGN got 5 hours with it. Let's see what they talking about.
あの、運転手さんいませんか？As someone who loved Bloober Team's 2024 remake of Silent Hill 2, I'm happy to report that while being developed by an entirely different developer, Silent Hill F boasts that same level of quality and polish.
Yeah, this looks good. This looks good. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be a very creepy game.
From story to world building, from graphics to combat and exploration, Taiwan-based developer Neobards has created an experience that meets the high bar set by the Polish developer, albeit in a drastically different setting. As I started walking the dense yet deserted streets of Ebiscalca, it was immediately apparent just how detailed and well realized this fictional remote town in the mountains of rural Japan in the 60s is. With an immersive over-the-shoulder view and no UI on screen during exploration, Silent Hill F is a game that tells a convincing story through its visuals.
I like that.
Ebiscalca is undoubtedly one of the most impressive contemporary Japanese townscapes I've ever seen in a video game, and that comes from someone who has lived in Japan for the majority of his life and loves games like Shenmue, Persona, and Ghostwire Tokyo. One of the few minor issues I had with the Silent Hill 2 remake was that the majority of its playtime is spent inside buildings and facilities. While these functioned as well-designed dungeons packed with horrifying enemies to fight and intricate puzzles to solve, the increase in volume compared to the 2001 original made it feel like exploration of the actual town of Silent Hill was limited. And so I was pleasantly surprised that the vast majority of my playtime with Silent Hill F was spent exploring Ebiscalca, which oozes with atmosphere. Files and other documents scattered throughout the town add context to Ebiscalca, which flourished as a mine town during its heyday. Now it has become a largely forgotten village, and its people are stuck in old ways, such as favouring traditional healthcare methods over modern medical science, and being overly devout to the Shinto deity Inari. The context of Ebis...
I like how, and I mention this often about games because it's something that's important for me as far as getting my immersion in, is how the environments, if it's like a desolated town or it's like abandoned or whatever, then I like to see that it was once lived in, and I'm definitely getting that vibe. Then I like that, like that progression. It's a storytelling method in its own right. Like you're showing like how it is now, and there's remnants of what used to be. I like when games do that well, and Konami does that. Well, they make sure that their developers do that really well. So they're trusting this Taiwanese team to do it, and it looks like they've done a good job with that.
Ebiscalca and its people immediately feel like they are an integral part of Silent Hill F's cohesive story, which made me eager to go off the beaten path and obtain every hidden file. The game starts after protagonist Hinako, a female high school student, runs away from home after being scolded by her drunk father. Walking the empty streets of Ebiscalca, heading to the local candy store to meet up with Hinako's fellow high school friends feels like an authored walking simulator reminiscent of games like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Of course, it doesn't take long until Hinako and her friends discover something is wrong in town, and before you know it, Hinako is holding an iron pipe in her hands, an iconic weapon of the series. Ebiscalca then gradually proves to be not just suited for a captivated walking simulator experience, but also the perfect setting for a horror game, as its narrow alleys and staircases are ideal to hide enemies behind corners, while also functioning as a maze for the player to get lost in. In some instances, doors left ajar and open windows invite Hinako inside traditional tatami-floored houses, where she will have to solve simple puzzles in order to make her way through to the next area. These puzzles play out in an unconventional way. One puzzle, for example, had me obtain keys to a locked door, but there was nothing noteworthy inside. Then, as I went back to the corridor, another door suddenly swung open, which gave me the chills. Silent Hill F's scenario writer, Yukishi07, sees Japanese horror as a subgenre that doesn't so much rely on threats to the protagonist's life, but rather makes you feel uncomfortable by creating situations that feel off. When you think about it, Silent Hill is a series known for just that. While there isn't a lack of life-threatening encounters, some of this series' most uncomfortable moments are in conversations with its outright weird characters. In Silent Hill F, Hinako and her friends are trying to find a way to escape the haunted town of Ebiscalca. Interactions with these friends seem normal at first, but then suddenly they say something or do something that catches you off guard.
from what I understand, like with these characters, basically whatever's going on in your mind is manifested in the real world as like your deepest fears. So whatever you're insecure about is going to manifest. Like I remember the short message. If y'all remember that game, that really short Silent Hill game that came out. It was this girl, this teenage girl. So she's seeing all types of weird shit. She's been abused. There's always people that have been through abuse. People who have developed mental health problems from that abuse, and it just is just an insane like take on mental health, like that, like all the games are, like you see with the other characters. But yeah, I think I wonder how. I think this game will be similar to that short message game, if y'all know what I'm talking about.
Also, in typical Silent Hill fashion, puzzles often reveal something about Hinako herself or the world she inhabits. A puzzle on a misty rice field has you examine scarecrows in order to learn the direction you should be heading, which is connected to a childhood trauma of Hinako getting lost and being afraid of the scarecrows. During my playthrough, puzzles never felt too difficult. Hints provided by files you obtain never make the solution too obvious, while still giving the player an idea of what they have to do. Silent Hill F has difficulty settings for both its combat and puzzles, and while Konami advised me to play on story mode for both, I stubbornly chose normal mode as I wanted to take on a challenge. While the difficulty of the puzzles never overwhelmed me, combat proved to be a bit more demanding.
Yo, they don't respect journalists. Like, telling him to put it on easy essentially is crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Silent Hill F's combat relies entirely on melee attacks. Hinako can obtain all sorts of weapons ranging from iron pipes to kitchen knives and baseball bats, but no guns come into play. With some exceptions, these weapons are not obtained through story beats, but are scattered throughout Silent Hill F's world like other resources, and Hinako can carry up to 3 weapons at a time. As you wield iron pipes and stab at enemies with knives, you will notice that the game has weapon durability. It is a nice touch that weapons that are about to break actually change in appearance, so expect to be holding a bent pipe or a broken bat. This also functions as a hint to the player, which Hinako will acknowledge by mentioning that she should fix it. Weapons can be...
I like that. I like you get more game cues and verbal cues than like HUD. I don't even really need, for this game, I don't think you even really need the HUD for real, because you're not going to be managing a bunch of inventory items and stuff like that. And the level design looks like it's very linear, so you're not really going to get lost to where you need a map and shit like that. So I'm liking the deep level of immersion there, and like how close up the camera is on the character. That provides another layer of like immersion and fear as well.
Fixed by using a repair kit, but these are so scarce that on many occasions you will have to say goodbye to your new favourite weapon. While weapon durability is often regarded as a burden in games, it works here, as finding a new weapon and repair kits quickly becomes an integral part of the resource management that the survival horror genre is known for, especially since you won't be having to look for ammo this time around. A clever system allows you to turn in your resources for an in-game currency at save points, which can be used to increase your stats or obtain new amulets that can be equipped to give you certain buffs. That means that if you are careful and don't waste your resources, leftovers can be turned into something useful, which feels like a great reward to a well-planned expedition. Combat itself has a similar feel to Silent Hill 2's close-range combat. You can dodge enemy attacks with the dual senses circle button, while you can activate light and heavy attacks with R1 and R2 respectively. Your limited reach and lengthy attack motions give a realistic, weighty feel to combat. Heavy attacks especially are slow and need to be timed well, contributing to the feeling that Hinako is just a teenager with limited strength.
Right, I hate when people complain about clunky combat in Silent Hill games. These are not special agents and police officers and army people like a Chris Redfield or Jill. No, not Jill. Yeah, Jill, Chris Redfield, Jill, Leon. We're not dealing with those kind of people, so they're not going to be toting rifles and pistols and sliding around and jumping and punching boulders and all of that. These are regular people scared shitless out of what they're seeing in front of them. So like, it's gonna be clunky. Like, I remember when Silent Hill 2 came out, people complained about the controls being clunky. Like, come on, y'all gotta do better than that.
What sets Silent Hill F's combat apart from Silent Hill 2's more limited melee combat is the implementation of timed dodges and counterattacks. The latter in particular deals a lot of damage and is key in battle. Enemies briefly show a sign when a counterattack can be utilized, but unless you have trained your reflex skills by playing games of the likes of Sekiro, you will likely have a hard time reacting. That's where the focus mode comes in, which can be triggered by holding L2. Sadly, we don't have any footage of it, but when in focus mode, enemy signs for counterattacks appear for longer, while also charging up a power attack that staggers an enemy. That means you might head into focus mode with the intention of going for a counterattack, but find yourself switching to a power attack when it charges before the enemy shows an opening.
Okay.
Focus mode is tied to Hinako's mental energy gauge, which exists separately from her stamina and health bar. Interestingly, the upper limit of her mental energy decreases when enemies do something that scares her, or when she is frightened by a certain event, connecting the gameplay to the story and Hinako's mental state. Luckily, there are items that can recover the upper limit of your mental energy gauge, but Hinako's stamina is limited too. When she runs out of stamina and mental energy, she can become so frightened and tired that she won't even be able to move for a while. Managing her energy resources, therefore, is key to survival. Fighting one regular enemy is fairly manageable, but when confronted by multiple enemies, running away often felt like the best option, especially since enemies don't give experience points or drop resources. Combat was fun enough that I found myself actively engaging in combat even if there wasn't a real benefit to it, beyond being able to explore the environment more freely. While keeping combat engaging and complex, Silent Hill F does a great job in making the player feel weak. The game cleverly incorporates this by having what seems to be a boss battle at first actually play out as a sequence in which the player has to find an escape route. Another iconic element to the series is
that's
the
gonna be scary as hell.
alternate world, which is present in Silent Hill F as well.
Oh, you get
Hinako is
Naginata.
occasionally transported to a different dimension that shows a more traditional Japan, where a mysterious masked figure guides her through the grounds of various shrines. Here, Hinako obtains traditional Japanese weapons such as the Naginata, a pole weapon with a curved blade on the end, similar to a glaive or halberd that is known to be mostly used by women. Weapons that Hinako finds in this alternate world don't break, but Hinako won't be able to carry them over to Ebisugaoka.
And I know the bosses in this is gonna go crazy. Like,
It was
this
in this realm that I encountered the main boss of my playtime, which proved much more difficult than I had anticipated. Even with my full understanding of the combat mechanics and systems,
What the fuck?
its long reach, hard to predict attack
I was not
patterns,
expecting
and multiple
that.
stages required significant trial and error. The boss took me nearly an hour to beat, but gradually learning how to take on the boss was a welcome challenge that never felt unfair. For reference, my colleague was playing on story mode and defeated the boss on his second try, but an acquaintance from another media outlet who was also playing on story mode didn't manage to defeat the boss at all and ran out of time. While he didn't specifically mention the Souls-like genre, series producer Motoi Okamoto says that Silent Hill F's combat was inspired by the current popularity of more difficult action games.
Yeah, I kind of see that. Because the very your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Kind of, I already see that pattern developing with this combat. This is very much reminds me of Souls-like games. And I know most boss battles, that's what they essentially devolve to. But the way this is, like the way the pacing is for it, and the attack loops and the openings and the somewhat unpredictability of the attack loops and patterns of these kind of bosses. Like, you see how that throw, when she threw out that weapon, this gold weapon, like, it surprised me. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So, like, that unpredictability in the attack patterns, and then, like, the kind of, the my turn, your turn thing kind of reminds me of Souls-like games, but not by much.
Multiple difficulty settings, Silent Hill F is by no means a Souls-like, but its boss design shares a similar learning curve that ultimately results in a great feeling of satisfaction when you beat it.
Okay.
The last part of my demo took place inside a school, which was essentially a dungeon similar to Silent Hill 2's aforementioned apartment buildings, hospitals, museums, and hotels. Upon entering the school, Hinako obtains a map of the building, which the player will have to use to navigate their way through. Luckily, Hinako is just as diligent a note-taking enthusiast as Silent Hill 2's James, so whenever you learn that a door is locked or that there is a passage somewhere, it will be noted for you on the map. Inside the school, I had to solve a multitude of puzzles in order to find keys to reach different classrooms and floors, while fighting and running away from enemies along the way.
I'm not gonna lie, like, as a kid, this was what, like, these sections is what kind of, like, drew me away from these types of games. But as I got older and became smarter and wiser, and my tastes kind of changed and my patience level changed, and my interest in what I look for in a video game changed, I learned to appreciate these parts more.
According to
now, I
Open
love
Level,
puzzles
the
in any
average
game. I
playtime
love
for
it.
Silent Hill F will be about 12 or 13 hours, which
Okay.
should indicate that I've played through roughly 1/3 of the game. While I
Bet.
don't know how things will go from here, so far the game's balance between town exploration and interior facilities feels like an improvement over the Silent Hill 2 remake. While the first 5 hours of the game felt like they were structured linearly, Silent Hill F has multiple endings, like many other games in the series, including the famous UFO ending. My time with Silent Hill F was promising, to say the least. Its world building and story had me so intrigued that I still think back on my brief visit to Ebiskalka almost a week later. Ebiskalka just feels like the perfect fit for a psychological horror narrative.
That don't sound Japanese.
And all of Silent Hill F's systems and mechanics complement the setting. Series composer Akira Yamaoka's soundtrack also does a stellar job in making the player feel uncomfortable throughout. Silent Hill F seems to be a horror game that gets everything right. If, like me, the Silent Hill 2 remake was one of your favorite games of 2024, Silent Hill F has the potential to become a serious Game of the Year contender when it releases for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on September 25th.
Okay.
おやすみ、Hinako.
For more scary stuff, keep it locked on IGN.
Uh-huh.
でもさ、シュウ君
Immerses J horror roots. I mean, it's pretty much the same shit. But yeah, this looks dope. I can't wait to dig in on this. But yeah, Silent Hill F. It's looking dope. I love the minimalist display where when you're exploring through the world, there's no HUD. The graphical fidelity is dope. It's very impressive from what I'm seeing here. The gameplay, I like how it's very realistic. Like, this is a teenage girl who's scared out of her mind. She's not, like I was saying earlier in the other clip, she's not a special agent. She's not Leon Kennedy. She's not Jill Valentine. She's not punching boulders. She's not sliding off of cars while she shoot. Like, she's not doing none of that. She is scared to the core. I was gonna say something else, but I said it earlier. So the attacks are gonna seem clunky. I hate when people complain about that. I feel like that is what adds to the challenge and adds to the immersion and adds to the fear of the game. Like, you're not super overpowered. She's not gonna be toting pistols and all of that. I love it. But yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comments, right? So you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.